The sky above Zero's prime was always red. Dust storms moved like rivers of smoke, hiding everything in the distance. Elias Ward stood at the edge of a deep crater, his eyes behind tinted goggles, watching the wreckage of a strange ship. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't even a soldier anymore, just a salvager, a drifter, someone who looked for broken machines and old tech to sell. But today, he had found something different. The alien ship was shaped like a giant crescent. Its surface looked like smooth glass cracked and scorched from the crash. Elias stepped carefully down the rocky slope, his boots crunching over bits of metal and stone. His small scanning device beeped. Life signs detected. Impossible, Elias muttered. He reached a broken part of the hull and climbed through. Inside, everything was dark and quiet. The walls were covered in glowing lines that pulsed like veins. It didn't look like any human ship he had seen before. After a few minutes, he found her. She was lying on the floor, surrounded by dim blue lights. Her skin was silver gray, smooth like metal, but clearly alive. Her long hair floated gently as if underwater, and her eyes were closed. Strange patterns glowed on her arms and neck. Elias knelt beside her, scanning her again. She was alive, but weak. He hesitated. She was alien, unknown, maybe dangerous. But he remembered the time a stranger had once saved him long ago during the war. That man never asked for thanks, just gave help and walked away. Elias sighed. All right, let's get you out of here. Back on his ship, the Marlin, he placed her gently on the med bed. He connected her to the medical scanner, but it showed more errors than results. Her body was full of technology his systems couldn't understand. Hours passed. The storm outside shook the ship, but inside it was quiet. Then she opened her eyes. They were not like human eyes. They shined like stars, tiny galaxies inside. She sat up slowly, looking around with a calm but serious expression. Elias raised his hands. Hey, easy. You're safe. I pulled you from the wreck. She looked at him, her gaze sharp and focused. Then she spoke, clearly and without emotion. Now we must begin. Elias blinked. Begin what? She stood from the bed. Her movements were graceful, too smooth, like someone walking through a dream. Her voice was calm, steady, and full of something Elias couldn't quite name. Maybe power. Time is short. The Hollow are coming. The Hollow? Elias frowned. What are you talking about? She turned to face him. They erase, not just people, not just planets. They erase memory, identity, purpose. They do not kill. They make things never exist. Elias laughed nervously. You mean like some kind of virus? Not a virus, not machines, not alive, not dead. Her voice stayed calm. Just hunger, thoughtless hunger. Elias leaned against the wall. This was too much. He just wanted to salvage scrap, not fight monsters from beyond the stars. You got a name? He asked. Sierra. I'm Elias. Elias Ward. She nodded once. I know. You were a captain. You left your post after the Archeon siege. You carry guilt and loneliness. Elias stiffened. That's private. Sierra blinked. Your thoughts are loud. Your emotions make you bright. He rubbed his face. Look, I helped you. You don't owe me anything, but I'd like to know what's going on. Sierra looked out the small window at the storm outside. Your world is not ready, but they must be. The Hollow have already reached the edge. Elias followed her gaze. What do you want from me? Sierra turned back to him. You helped me. So now I help you. He crossed his arms. That's nice, but I'm just one guy. What can I do? She stepped forward and touched his temple lightly with 2 fingers. A strange warmth entered his mind. He saw images, stars blinking out, memories unraveling, planets turning gray. And then he saw people, humans, fighting back with glowing shields, strange weapons, and determination. The vision faded. Elias gasped, stepping back. What? What? Was that? Possibility, Sira said. A future that can still be. Elias looked at her, fear and curiosity in his eyes. Why me? She looked at him, her face unreadable. Because you're human, and humans are unpredictable. That answer made him smile just a little. He looked down at his hands, then at her. So, what now? Sira didn't blink, didn't smile. She just said again, firmly and clearly, now we must begin. The next morning, Elias sat in the pilot chair of the Marlin, drinking cold coffee and staring at the stars through the front window. Sira stood beside him, silent and still, like a statue made of silver. She hadn't slept. She hadn't even sat down. You don't sleep? Elias finally asked. Sira looked at him. No. Sleep invites the hollow. Elias raised an eyebrow. They can attack you in dreams? They attack thought, memory, the self. She paused. We must stay alert. Elias set his coffee aside. All right, then tell me everything, from the beginning. Sira nodded. She explained that her people, the Volari, were once a great and peaceful race who lived across stars older than Earth itself. They believed in thought, harmony, and memory. Their greatest creation was the Vault of Minds, a shared system where every Volari memory was stored. But then the Hollow came. They did not come in ships, she said. They did not speak or demand. They simply appeared. Systems stopped working. Records vanished. Cities turned to dust, as if they were never built. People forgot their own names. Elias frowned. How do you fight something like that? You don't fight them with guns, Sira answered. You fight them with will, with the mind. Sira told him she was a chronovault, a living carrier of Volari memory and knowledge. When the Hollow reached the Volari homeworld, she was placed in a special pod and sent away, to hide, to survive, to find help. You were meant to find someone, Elias guessed. She nodded. Someone who remembers. Remembers what? What it means to resist, she said. Later that day, Sira and Elias checked the ship's long-range sensors. One human colony, Virene 6, had stopped sending signals 3 days ago. Maybe it's just a storm, Elias said, though he didn't believe it. Sira shook her head. It's the Hollow. They are testing your worlds. Elias felt a chill in his spine. They set a course for Virene 6. During the journey, Sira taught Elias how the Hollow worked. She showed him how their presence could be felt in data, in patterns, of silence, in places where information was suddenly gone. Every species has noise, she said. Thoughts, voices, energy. But the Hollow leave only stillness. When they reached orbit around Virene 6, Elias saw that the colony was still there, but dark. No lights, no signals, just silence. They landed near the main dome and stepped outside, both wearing breathing masks. The air was breathable but full of dust. The colony looked untouched, no damage, no fires, but it felt wrong, like a museum that had been closed for too long. Elias and Sira entered the main control room. The power was still running, but every screen showed blank data. Someone wiped the system, Elias said. No, Sira replied. They unmade it. Then they found the people. Hundreds of colonists were sitting or lying down, eyes open, but unblinking. They were alive, but empty. No response, no words, just breathing. Elias stepped back, heart racing. They're still alive? The body lives, Sira said quietly. The mind does not. Suddenly, one man turned his head toward Elias. Slowly, his lips moved. "Who are you?" Elias knelt beside him. "My name's Elias. We came to help." The man blinked. "Help is not enough." And then his eyes closed. He didn't move again. Elias stood slowly. "We're too late." "No," Sira said. "You saw him. A spark remains." She turned to Elias. "The Hollow haven't finished here. There's still time." Back on the Marlin, Elias sat in silence. Sira placed a hand on a glowing panel and closed her eyes. Blue. Light spread across the ship as she connected with her memory core. "Watch," she said. A hologram appeared in front of Elias. It showed the planet from above. Then it rewound, showing days in reverse. He saw people working, laughing, talking. Then came a wave of darkness. Not black, but empty. It passed through buildings and people like wind, and wherever it went, memories vanished. People stopped moving. Data vanished from screens. Then he saw something else, a signal. A pulsing code, hidden inside a transmission from deep space. "They send a song before they arrive," Sira explained. "A pattern that breaks thought." Elias stared at the strange waveform. "Can we block it?" "Yes, but only with strong minds working together. Human minds." Elias looked at her. "Why humans? Why us?" Sira met his eyes. "Because your species is noisy. You think fast, feel deeply. You remember pain. You resist change. You are chaotic. The Hollow don't know how to erase chaos." Elias gave a small laugh. "That's probably the best compliment I've ever gotten." Sira gave him coordinates to a forgotten Valari beacon hidden in deep space. If they could reach it, they could. Send a message to any surviving Valari ships or allies who once fought the Hollow. "It's a risk," Elias said. "The Hollow might hear it too." "They will," Sira replied. "That's why we must move quickly." Elias set the course. As the engines warmed, he looked at her. "You know," he said, "most people say thank you when someone saves their life." Sira tilted her head. "Do you need thanks?" Elias shook his head. "Not really. Just seems normal." Sira gave the smallest smile he'd seen from her yet. "You saved me. Now we save others. That is enough." The Marlin jumped to light. Speed, heading into the unknown, and in the silence of space, Sira whispered to herself, "Now we truly begin." The stars stretched into long lines as the Marlin jumped through hyperspace. Inside the small ship, Elias sat at the console, staring at the blinking lights on the navigation screen. Sira stood beside him, silent as always, her glowing patterns pulsing slowly across her arms. "We'll reach the Valari beacon in 4 hours," Elias said. Sira nodded but didn't look up. She had been quiet since they left Vereen 6. Elias finally asked, "What are you thinking about?" Sira replied softly, "How much time we have, and how much we've already lost." Elias didn't answer. He couldn't. The image of the empty colonists on Vereen 6 still haunted his mind. Alive, breathing, but gone on the inside. He'd seen death before, but not like that. This was different. Colder. They dropped out of hyperspace near a lonely asteroid belt. The Valari beacon floated in the middle, hidden by dark matter fields and old stealth technology. It looked like a giant, shining lotus flower with long, silver petals slowly spinning in space. Elias brought the Marlin in close. Sira placed her hand on a control panel, and soft blue waves passed from her skin into the ship. The beacon responded. It opened like a blooming flower, releasing a pulse of bright light. Elias shielded his eyes. "What did you just do?" "I woke it," Sira answered. "It will send a message to any surviving Valari, and any others who still remember the war." Elias frowned. That's good, right? Sierra's face was serious. Yes, but the Hollow may hear it too. After the signal was sent, they changed course to New Horizon, a human colony hub near the edge of civilized space. Elias hoped someone there would listen to them. As the ship approached the station, traffic control hailed them. Unregistered vessel, state your identity and purpose, Elias responded calmly. Captain Elias Ward, civilian salvage ship, requesting permission to dock. They were allowed to land. The station was huge, a floating city with towers, domes, and thousands of people walking through wide corridors. It was the kind of place where information moved fast, but trust moved slowly. Elias and Sierra walked through the docking bay. People stared at Sierra. Her glowing skin and calm eyes made her look out of place among the busy humans in uniforms and gear. At the admin desk, a young officer scanned Elias's ID. You're a long way from Earth, Captain. I need to speak to someone in command, Elias said. The officer gave him a tired smile. Everyone does. But Elias didn't give up. After hours of pushing, he finally got a meeting with someone who mattered. Commander Jarek Halden, head of New Horizons Defense Force, and an old friend from Elias's military days. Jarek was a broad-shouldered man with gray in his beard and sharp eyes. He sat behind a desk in a small, secure room. When Elias and Sierra entered, he stood up and offered a hand. Still alive, Elias? I figured you'd crash into a moon by now. Elias shook his hand. Almost did. Twice. Jarek looked at Sierra. And who's this? Sierra. She's not from around here. Sierra gave a small bow. Jarek motioned for them to sit. So what's this about? Elias explained everything. The Hollow, the erased colony, the beacon, the threat coming closer. Jarek listened quietly, not speaking until Elias finished. Then he leaned back in his chair and said, You always were good at telling stories. Elias blinked. You think I'm making this up? I think you believe it, Jarek said. But you brought no proof, no hard data. And frankly, what you're saying sounds impossible, Sierra spoke, her voice calm. We do not have time for doubt. Jarek gave her a polite but cold look. And who exactly are we? I am Valari, she replied. Last of the vaulted, ones. I carry the memories of my people, and I carry warning. Jarek sighed. Look, Elias, I don't know what you've gotten involved in, but unless you can show me something I can use, something I can take to command, there's nothing I can do. Frustrated, Elias left the meeting with Sierra. But he had one more idea. He visited an old contact, Dr. Ray Lynn, a cyberneticist who worked in the research wing. She was a sharp-minded woman with short silver hair and a habit of talking fast. Elias Ward, she said as he entered her lab. I thought you were banned from this station. I got a visitor pass, he said with a smile. I need your help. He handed her a small cube containing Sierra's compressed memory data. Ray plugged it into her system and ran a deep scan. After a few minutes, her face went pale. This can't be right. What is it? Elias asked. There are records in here that don't exist anywhere in human databases. Star systems I've never heard of, wars that aren't in our history, and worse, holes, places where data should be, but it's just gone. Sierra stepped forward. Now you see, Ray looked at her, eyes wide. You're not human, are you? No, Sierra said softly, but I am here to help humans survive. Ray looked at Elias. If this is real, we need to warn Earth. And fast! Back in his ship, Elias leaned on the console, watching New Horizon shrink behind them as they lifted off again. They didn't believe us, he said. Sierra looked calm. Some did. Some will. It is enough to begin. Elias looked out at the stars. You really believe we can stop them? Sierra replied. I believe humans can do what others cannot. Not because they are wise, but because they are stubborn. Elias smiled. Yeah, that sounds like us. As the Marlin jumped back into deep space, a message blinked on the screen, a secret transmission from Ray Lin. I believe you. Let's fight back. The Marlin flew through silent space, its engines glowing soft blue. Elias sat in the pilot seat while Sira stood behind him, eyes closed, focusing on something far away. After their visit to New Horizon, everything had changed. They now had one strong ally, Dr. Ray Lin, who was working fast to study the Hollow's hidden signal. She had sent a message to Elias, warning that strange patterns were starting to show up across human systems. The Hollow were spreading, quietly, invisibly. Sira opened her eyes. They are getting faster. Soon, thought alone will not stop them. Elias turned. Then what do we do? We teach your people to resist, not with machines, but with their minds. A few days later, they arrived at a hidden outpost called Black Ridge, located on the edge of a dead system. It was used by retired military, scientists, and a few secret research teams. Ray Lin had moved there after leaving New Horizon. Now she greeted them with urgency. I've been decoding more of the Valari data, she said. The Hollow's signal is not just a message, it's a virus for the brain. She showed Elias a screen filled with shifting patterns. They looked harmless at first, but the longer he stared, the more confused he felt. His thoughts became slow. His head hurt. He looked away. That's not natural, Ray nodded. It's designed to weaken memory, language, emotion, like turning the human mind into fog. Sira added, This is only the first wave. The next wave erases. The group gathered a small team, doctors, soldiers, thinkers, who were open-minded enough to listen. Sira began training them, not with weapons, but with focus exercises. She taught them to anchor thoughts with strong emotions, love, pain, joy, hope. These emotional memories created mental resistance against the Hollow's effects. Humans, with their messy, powerful feelings, were surprisingly strong at this. Elias watched as even hardened soldiers cried while remembering lost family members or past battles, and somehow that pain made their minds stronger. Sira explained, The Hollow cannot eat what is felt too deeply. Your hearts protect your minds. Ray whispered to Elias, Maybe being emotional isn't a weakness after all. One night the outpost was attacked, not by ships, not by weapons, but by silence. Suddenly, all systems stopped responding. Screens turned black, lights flickered, and then, the people. Several team members stood frozen, their faces empty. Others started whispering, strange words that made no sense. The Hollow were already inside, using the station's data links to send their signal directly into people's minds. Elias grabbed a headset Ray had built, lined with Sira's shielding tech. He put it on and ran to the main control room. There, he saw Ray on the floor, holding her head. Sira was standing over her, creating a glowing blue barrier with her hands. It shimmered like water in the air. They're trying to break her memory, Sira said. Elias knelt beside Ray and held her hand. Ray, stay with us. Remember who you are. Ray opened her eyes slightly. My name is Ray Lin. I was 10 when I first built a robot from trash. I loved it. I named it Pepper. Her breathing slowed and her body relaxed. The Hollow. Signal weakened. After the attack ended, they counted the damage. Some people were lost. Empty now, but most had survived, thanks to Sira's training. We can't wait anymore, Elias said. We have to take this to Earth, Ray agreed. If we send this proof, the video, the scan, the recordings, Command might finally believe us. But there was one more step. Sira explained that the only way to fully block the Hollow's signal was to build a thought engine, a hybrid machine using Valari memory tech and human brainwave energy. Ray and Elias worked day and night, following Sierra's guidance. The engine wasn't big, only the size of a room, but it required a special pilot. Someone whose mind was strong, emotional, chaotic, and willing to link with the device. Elias volunteered. Sierra warned him, "It may hurt. It may break your mind." "Are you sure?" Elias nodded. "If this can stop the hollow, I'll take the risk." The day came. They placed Elias inside the core. Sierra placed a memory crystal on his chest. Ray started the machine. The engine came to life. Lights danced around Elias as his memories opened. His childhood, his first love, the battlefield, the loss of friends, the lonely nights drifting in space. And then, something changed. His mind touched something deeper, a network, like a sea of thought. Sierra's voice entered his mind. "This is the vault, the memory of my people. You are inside it now." Elias saw flashes, cities of light, Valari children singing, stars being born. He felt their pain, their loss, their last hope. Then he saw Earth. The hollow were moving toward it, but now he was connected. He sent out a signal, not just data, but emotion. He pushed out every strong feeling he had ever felt: pain, love, anger, regret, hope, and the hollow. Paused. They couldn't eat it. The signal spread like fire across systems. The hollow's silent waves slowed, then scattered. Across the galaxy, people woke up. Systems rebooted. Memories returned. The fog began to clear. Elias opened his eyes, weak but alive. Sierra smiled, a real smile this time. "You did it," she said. Ray stood nearby, wiping tears. "You've just shown Earth how to fight." Elias, still dizzy, looked at them both. "So," he said with a tired grin, "do I finally get a thank you?" Sierra placed a hand on his shoulder. "No," she said softly. "You get something better," she pointed to the stars. "Now, we begin again." After the success of the thought engine, the small group at Black Ridge had hope. But the battle was far from over. The hollow were still out there, lurking beyond the stars, waiting for a chance to strike again. Elias felt different. Inside his mind, the memory of the Valari race flowed like a river, filling parts of him he didn't know existed. The connection with the vault was strong, but it came with a cost. His mind was stretched thin, and sometimes he felt waves of exhaustion crash over him. Sierra stood nearby, watching him carefully. "The merge is not easy. Your mind carries more than you think." Elias nodded. "I feel it. But if this is the price to save Earth and humanity, I'll pay it." At the outpost, Ray Lin worked day and night, building more devices to help humans shield their minds. The training grew. Soldiers, scientists, and civilians began learning how to use their emotions as weapons, their memories as shields. The Valari tech, combined with human creativity, made strange new tools. Helmets that could block the hollow's signals, networks that shared mental strength, and even simple meditations that slowed the erasing effect. But Elias was different. He was becoming the living vault. The memories and history of the Valari mixed with his own. It was both power and burden. One night, Sierra approached Elias. Her glowing eyes held a sadness he had not seen before. "There is a moment," she said softly, "when the merge becomes too much, when the past and the present fight for control, when memories from long ago threaten to erase your own self." Elias looked at her, feeling the weight of her words. "Will I lose myself?" he asked quietly. Sierra shook her head. "No. You will become more, but it will take strength and help." Elias nodded. "Then I will not be alone." As the weeks passed, Earth's leaders finally took notice. The strange disappearances, the silence on distant colonies, the warnings from Black Ridge, it could no longer be ignored. Fleet was assembled, a mix of human ships and a few alien vessels from races once enemies, but now allies. The Valari beacon had called to them, and they answered. Elias was appointed Mind Keeper, the commander of this new alliance. His connection to the vault gave him insight no other human had. He could see patterns, predict moves, and feel the emotions of his crew. The first battle came sooner than expected. The Hollow sent their mindless, a swarm of black shifting creatures that spread like smoke and reached into minds to steal memories. Elias stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity. Around him, soldiers prepared, their helmets glowing with Valari shields. "Remember," Elias said, "hold your memories close. Let your feelings burn like fire. The Hollow fear what they cannot erase." The battle was brutal. The mindless attacked, wrapping around ships, trying to invade minds. But the human crews fought back with more than weapons. They fought with will. Elias sent mental commands through the vault, guiding ships away from traps and toward weak points. The Unity fired beams of energy that pulsed with memory and emotion. One by one, the mindless dissolved, unable to feed on the human chaos. But the victory came at a cost. The Unity was damaged. Many minds were weakened by the fight. Elias felt his own mind strain against the flood of memories he carried. After the battle, in the quiet of the medical bay, Sierra held Elias's hand. "You did well, but this is only the beginning." Elias looked at her, tired but determined. "Then we keep fighting." Sierra smiled faintly. "Good, because the Hollow will return, stronger." Elias sat alone in his quarters, staring at a small, flickering image of Earth. He thought about his life, the war he left behind, the lonely days drifting between stars, the moment he found Sierra. He felt something new, purpose. He whispered, "We will survive. We will remember. We will win." And in the quiet of space, a voice echoed in his mind, Sierra's voice, soft and steady. "Now, we continue." The final battle was coming. The Hollow's forces gathered at the edge of Earth's solar system like a dark storm. Unlike before, this time they were not hiding. Their shapes were enormous, shifting masses of thoughtless hunger. Elias stood on the bridge of the Unity, watching the fleet prepare. Around him, humans, Valari, and other allied races checked their weapons, tightened shields, and readied minds. Sierra stood beside him, her silver skin glowing softly. She looked tired but strong. "We built the memory engine," Sierra said quietly. "It is our last hope." Elias nodded. The memory engine was a fusion of Valari memory technology and human mind energy. It was designed to protect Earth by creating a barrier of living memory, a shield so strong the Hollow could not enter. But to power it, someone had to connect deeply. Someone had to give their mind fully. "That will be me," Elias said. Sierra looked at him with deep respect. "You carry the vault now. It is your destiny." Inside the memory engine chamber, Elias lay down, a network of glowing cables attached to his temples and chest. Raylin stood nearby, watching monitors, her face tense but hopeful. The process began. Lights pulsed around Elias as his mind reached out into the vault. Memories from Valari and humans mixed. Ancient history, love, pain, hope, all woven into a strong fabric. Elias felt the weight of thousands of lives, their hopes and fears. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed. Outside, the Hollow attacked. Dark tendrils crashed against the fleet's shields. Ships rocked, systems failed, but the fleet held. Inside the chamber, Elias's mind battled the endless hunger. The Hollow tried to pull memories away, erase his identity. Pain flooded him. He heard Sierra's voice inside his mind. "Hold on! Remember who you are!" He pushed back, sending waves of emotion. Memories of his childhood, his friends, the moment. He saved Sira. The memory engine glowed brighter. Outside, the shield flared with light. The hollow's tendrils dissolved. The fleet pushed forward, breaking the dark mass. Hours later, the battle ended. The hollow had retreated. Elias opened his eyes, weak but alive. Sira smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "You did it," she said. "But at what cost?" Elias asked, his voice quiet. Sira took his hand. "You carry us all now. The vault lives in you." Raylin joined them. "You gave Earth a future." Elias looked out the window, seeing stars sparkling brighter than before. "This is just the beginning," he said. Sira nodded. "Now we remember. Now we rebuild. Now we continue." In the days after the battle, Elias helped lead the rebuilding of Earth's defenses and the training of new mind-keepers. The story of the Hollow spread across the galaxy, uniting races once divided by fear and war. And deep inside Elias's mind, the memories of the Valari and humanity grew together, a new strength born from old pain and new hope. He often thought back to the moment he first met Sira, when she said simply, "Now we must begin." And with that, a new chapter for humanity had started, one where memory, will, and heart fought back against the darkness.